All right, good morning. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. Hope you had a fantastic New Year's. Everyone was safe. Great to have you back. Um, I'm starting just a little bit early here today, simply because of what's going on with the pre market and kind of what's happening here. And to kind of carry over from some of our discussions from Tuesday. Carl will be back with you a little bit later today, and he'll resume his top three here today as well. Market is set to open a little bit weak here this morning, about 7-8 points on the S&P. It's set to gap down, and here I have the 1 minute chart of S&P 500 futures, and we saw that kind of end of day rally, right? That kicked in just before the close on Tuesday. We started to sell off and then surged higher, and that was a little bit atypical of what we had seen over the past years. We had talked about most of the past years we had seen selling come in right at the close, and then the first day the market was open for the new year, we saw a gap higher in the market, a very bullish gap, and that had been the trend over the last 8 years. Today we're seeing something different. Okay, we're seeing where all of this rally that kicked in is essentially being erased by this morning's gap lower. Okay, so the question is that significant? Is there something to that we need to react to? Okay, well, let's go take a look at it in a couple different ways. That's the S&P 500 that I have on the board now. Let's take a look at the Dow. Okay, here's the Dow, and the Dow closed up here and is now breaking below these kind of midday lows from Tuesday. Okay, the small caps, which the small caps were a lot different at the end of the day on Tuesday. The small caps reacted significantly different. They actually fell into the close instead of rallied into the close. And so their gap down, they're not erasing any rally. They're kind of continuing some of the sell that came in near the end of the day for these small caps on Tuesday. Bonds, okay, the TLT. What's that doing? Well, bonds kind of really made a nice comeback here into the end of the day on Tuesday. They hit this kind of 11 o'clock bottom and just climbed throughout the rest of the day. They still ended with losses overall, but interest rates dropped just slightly into the close of the year. This morning, they're relatively flat. Okay, this morning bonds are relatively flat. What isn't relatively flat is gold. Okay, gold here is kicked up pretty good. Let me kind of back this chart out to a 5 minute chart so you can kind of see. This is what we woke up to Tuesday morning, was kind of a flush in gold. Okay, we saw that flush, and then Tuesday we saw that heavy reversal to the upside, and that upside reversal is carrying on here today. Is that a sign that investors are nervous or something like that? I mean, the last time we really saw a January where equities fell and gold surged was in January of 2008. Okay, and are we going to have a similar January this time? Well, we could. So far we're seeing a little bounce in gold and a little weakness in equities, but can that carry on throughout the month? We'll see. I think today will tell us quite a bit. Okay. If you look here at the gold chart, you'll notice the reversal from the other day, coming back to the June lows, retesting those, getting some support here overall with gold. I don't really see a major trade in gold right here, but definitely, if these lows from last week end up getting wiped out, it's really a short play. And those of you gold bugs, those that like to get long gold, can really kind of use this 1200 level as a stopping point because of the way the price action has happened. You can get long, use that 1200 level as kind of your stop point, and get in and trade gold on the upside there. Okay. All right, not a whole lot of analyst activity this morning. A few things. Okay, Bank of America received an upgrade. Okay, and they're trading up higher here this morning. I know many of you were in the Bank of America call trade. So Bank of America, nice little upgrade this morning. Apple downgraded again. Okay, Apple downgraded again, and it's down about $7 here in the pre-market. Just kind of continuing its little slide there overall. We talked about Apple on Tuesday, and yeah, could you be a buyer of Apple? Sure. What was the danger? Well, the danger was some sort of retest of this lower Bollinger Band, and we may see that pretty good right down here at the lower Bollinger Band. Okay. So those are some of the major, some of the analyst activity. We have a little bit in retail where Jefferies, who they're pretty respected as far as their knowledge on retail. They basically came out and called Urban Outfitters (URBN) their top retail pick for 2014. Okay, it's been a major underperformer in 2013, but with the upgrade, potential to see a trend rider bull signal here today, definitely one to keep an eye on. They also upgraded Chico's and American Eagle here. They put upgrades on, and then they downgraded A&F, Abercrombie and Fitch, and Aeropostale. So is there a lot of difference in the charts? No, but those upgrades we could see some major divergence within these different stocks based on these upgrades and downgrades from Jefferies as we go forward throughout the rest of the month. The other analyst activity I think is worth noting, kind of the only other thing I really think is worth noting, is Evercore. Evercore came out with a note this morning saying that they expect online video ads to surge here in 2014, 2015, and 2016. They put kind of a three-year move on that. Okay, and who does that benefit? Well, AOL. Okay, AOL would be a big beneficiary. AOL, Trend Rider, Signal, everything else. Okay, Yahoo. Okay, Yahoo. Google, Amazon. Okay, these are all ones that would benefit from it. Do I think it's something that would create a trade right here today? No. But it's something that is beneficial for things like Twitter and Facebook. Okay, Twitter again, was upgraded this morning. They're not trading higher on the upgrade. I mean, Twitter's basically been a victim of upgrades, downgrades throughout the last several days. It's been kind of the wild, wild west there with Twitter, but that's definitely worth looking at as we go forward here, 2013. All right, let's go take a look at our positions. Yeah, Cricket, no investing in gold is in order, but there is a trade there. Yeah, no, I don't think it's a long-term gold investment, especially with the chances of rates continuing to rise. I think it's more of a trade on gold than anything else. Okay, oil. Okay, oil's pulling back about $1.20 last I checked. Okay. Take a look here at the crude chart. In the crude chart, we came all the way up to 36, up to the upper Bollinger Bands, contracting bands. We get a pullback back into this kind of 34.50 area on the USO chart. It'd be a very interesting place to look for a potential buy opportunity. I think the ISM data will have something to do about it with oil, but it's going to pull back pretty significantly here today. Now we're dealing with futures down. Okay, we're dealing with market down. Is it down huge? No, but A lot of stocks are going to get a little bit of a haircut this morning. Okay, they're going to open lower. Many of them, including Qualcomm, okay, which we got in for the Vibe and Trend Rider, it's basically set to erase the last 20 minutes of gains that it had on Friday. Okay, so that in and of itself isn't very significant. Okay, just erasing the last 20 minutes of gains on Friday is not, or from Tuesday, not very significant. If we start to see some of these stocks break Tuesday lows, that's where I think some of this significance comes into play, and one of the things that could be of concern. So take a look. Let's go through. I talked about these positions that I was in personally. We didn't do all of them for the website just simply because of being able to send them out. But Tesoro, the low before that rally was 58.08. Okay, and this morning Tesoro's bidding at 57.88, asking at 58.39. So not really, we'll see where it opens, but not set to break 58 right here on the open. Okay, Boeing, which we have for the challenge. Okay, 135.78. Okay, again, the bid ask is kind of straddling that a little bit. Okay, Qualcomm. Okay, we end up getting in here right around 74, and it's trading just south of 74 right here on the open. Okay, the ones that the two that I got into the close on Tuesday are Verizon and Schlumberger. Okay, and I want to go look at those here because I had mentioned these were two plays that I was simply making as a play for a gap up today. I had no interest in long-term holding them or anything like that, and that if we did not get a gap up today, as what's been the history of the market, that they propose pretty good exit points. Verizon breaks below 49. I want out. I did put an auto order in there for if it breaks below 48.92, just sell me out. Okay, 48.92, just sell me out. And then Schlumberger, which we kind of took a little more conservative option because of the rally into the close. With oil pulling back, Schlumberger is going to pull back a little bit. We start to see Schlumberger break about 89. 10, I'll look to pull that off. Went into the front end of the year with a little bit more exposure than normal just because of the past history. In past years, it's paid off. This year, so far on the open, probably not going to pay off. But the one thing the Bulls have going for them, there's no real downside catalyst. Not that you need a downside catalyst for some sort of correction or sell-off, but that's one thing the Bulls have going. In about a half hour after the market opens today, we have the ISM data. And the ISM data has been significant. It's lost some of its significance over the past months as the Fed has pretty much said all they care about is inflation and employment. So the ISM hasn't had the same impact. But the ISM data will have an impact on some of the more cyclical sectors. Your Caterpillars and Deeres, your Nucors and your U.S. Steels, your Walters and your Cliffs. One of the things that happened this morning, U.S. Steel was upgraded. U.S. Steel upgraded this morning, put a $37 price target put on it. Okay, I fully agree with the upgrade with some of the things that we're seeing. In that upgrade, they talked about the raw material costs falling, and that bodes well for U.S. Steel, Nucor, AKS, the whole lot of them, STLD. I have some charts that I want to share on these stocks that I will share with you as the day progresses here. Okay, Nucor, as far as an entry here, I'd love to see this thing get down to 53, maybe even start to break below 53 and then snap back. We'll definitely be looking at for some sort of upside entry if we get that. Market's opening up. Market be about 8.7 or 8 points lower. Okay, here you can see equity futures to where they've been basing out all morning. It's going to take a little while for stocks to open up. Most of them are going to open up in the red, and they're going to be, Apple's down, Kihu's down a little bit, Qualcomm down a little, Verizon, Schlumberger slightly here. Um, Take a look. The Tesoro down about 20-30 cents here. Valero down about the same. WNR down just slightly. There's no real negative catalyst for the Tesoros and the Western refinings or for the Valeros. These are ones where, hey, if you've been looking to get in, this almost gives you a better opportunity. Something like Valero or Tesoro here, if we start to see this break above 58 and a half over the next hour or two, becomes a very positive or very bullish type of a setup overall. Okay. Overall, looking across the board, we have Nasdaq that's kind of the weaker of the groups, kind of the weakest across the board here. Kihu, I know several of you are in that with me here. Kihu here, it's very interesting. Chart's been bullish. These Chinese internet stocks. The one catalyst that Kihu potentially has is a deal with Apple. There's been a rumored deal between Kihu and Apple as far as some of the things going on there in China. We'll see if that kind of comes out a little bit later this week and more detail in regards to that. Okay. Broader market, again, still a little bit weak. Everything getting a little haircut. Keep an eye on the things that aren't really getting dropped at all. The Medtronics, the Amazons. Even something like Nucor, down 7 cents, right? I mean, down 4 cents. Chesapeake, down about 16 cents. They're not down very much. Boeing only down 13 cents. Seeing these things hold up is really overall bullish. One thing we have to keep in mind is it is the first day of a new month. Fund managers need to, a lot of the 401ks, a lot of the pensions, they need to start putting money to work, and we tend to see money come in the first several days of any month just from that activity. Okay. So this isn't really a sell-off that I want to be aggressively selling. I'm a little concerned about, Schlumberger and Verizon overall, but Verizon's held up really well. Schlumberger for oil being down $1.60, holding up pretty good here. Bank of America, really nice. Kihu, really nice. Okay. Darren just mentioned that he got out of Qualcomm. We're not getting out of Qualcomm here. Okay. We're holding on to Qualcomm. This isn't something that we expect to be a short-term trade, and we expect Qualcomm to still do very well. Notice Qualcomm simply coming down to the lower Bollinger on the hourly chart. Okay, could it break? It could, but a lot of the things, that's kind of what's happening here. Okay, they're coming down to these lower bands on the hourly. A lot of things have been consolidating in these hourlies, and all today's action is doing is bringing them down into those points. Okay. Yeah, Bank of America, just looking at an email here, price target on Bank of America. I believe the upgrade this morning put a $19 target on it. For me, I'm not putting a target on it. I just expect this to break 16 and start to run. Do we get 17 and a half? Who knows? I think when we come into earnings here, that'll have a big tell. We do have earnings that are going to start kicking off this month. In fact, Bank of America, January 15th, it'll be one of the first in regards to its earnings. Okay. Yeah, Cricket. Lots of bridge repairs have to use steel. Yeah, no, there's especially if you're following what's going on in Congress right now. There's talk of more infrastructure spending. Okay, here within the U.S., and that would be a strong benefit to things like U.S. Steel or X or Nucor or AKS. STLD, very interesting one as it starts to pull back just a little bit. Do we get a nice entry on it? Notice where something like STLD is opening this morning. Right there. right there on the lower Bollinger Band. Okay. Yeah, thanks, 1T. Qualcomm here this morning. One of the reasons that I believe that kind of trading block came in, there was some news between Qualcomm and Apple on one of their products where they weren't getting the yield that they expected due to a small manufacturing glitch. It's a very short-term type of a catalyst overall, but overall still still in a good position. Yeah, Western Refining. Okay, pulling back what about 75 cents here. It is the weaker of the group. It was also one of the outperformers. Okay, one of the stronger ones. Is there anything bearish about this pullback? No. Okay, I mean there isn't. We still have higher highs and higher lows from a shorter term standpoint and from a longer term standpoint. Tesoro here, okay, same type of thing. Valero, kind of same type of thing within this group. The one thing about these refiners is they're highly volatile. I mean, just the amount that they can go up or down in a 5 minute period. Those of you who've been riding in some of these, you've seen it. You've seen how quickly they can really move. Would love to see something like Tesoro find a little bit of support here around 57.5. And then start to break higher and show that, okay, it's not going to come back down towards these lows. We're going to have a higher low. That would make a breakout a lot more trustworthy. Okay, but again, they're still in these kind of consolidation periods overall. Okay, market overall continuing to weaken this morning. Okay, the broader market continuing to weaken. Energy, kind of the biggest weak spot here for the markets, down almost 1% here for energy. Technology also weak. Twitter moving up on its upgrade. But energy materials, kind of the weaker spots. Take a look at what those look like relative to past what they've been over the last week. Okay, XLB slight pullback, XLI a little bit more, XLE the energy probably the bigger of the pullback, but really just erasing much of Tuesday's gains. Yeah, Jake took 4 of the Qualcomms, looking to add the other 6 at what level? Yeah, and I went through Qualcomm quite a bit here this morning because I was a little bit worried with the news and a little bit worried with the size of the explosion that Qualcomm had at the close on Tuesday, and what that meant for a gap down. 73.5 is a very nice support level here for Qualcomm, and really anything between 73.5 and 73.25. Those are the areas I'd be looking to add. Will it get down there? It may not. It may never get down there. If it doesn't get down there, I'd add on the next move above 74. But if it gets down to 73.25, 73.50, that's where I'd kind of be looking to add on that. Okay. Just looking here in an email, U.S. Steel. Do I think the upgrade will have follow through? Yes, I do. I do think the upgrade will have follow through. It may not happen, this day, but overall, I think these steel stocks are very close to really being buyable. X obviously outperforming with the upgrade today, but Nucor anywhere down below 53, 52.5 becomes very interesting to me. Apple. Okay, we've talked about Apple. Look, Apple back down here at 555. We start to get into this 550 area. I start to get very interested with Apple down around 550. Okay. Yeah, AK, IBM. IBM too. It's kind of been one of the dogs of the. It was kind of the worst performing stock on the Dow last year. Had a nice run up into the close of the year this year, pulling back a little bit today. Look at where the 7-day moving average is here on IBM, around 185, and now kind of compare that to an hourly chart on IBM and where the support is, right down here around 185, just a little south of 185 from the lower Bollinger Band. So that would be really interesting IBM down around 185 as far as an upside entry. Okay. We're continuing to see the selling come in here to the broader market. Um, Energy continues to be the laggard. Technologies continue to be the laggard here. Boeing. Let's go take a look at Boeing we have for the challenge. Boeing was kind of all over the place in the last hour Tuesday as it kind of went from 135 and a half to 136.80. It's really kind of trading in that range. If we pull this up just on a 5-minute chart here on Boeing, okay, really this last 20-minute surge is what it's giving up here this morning. Overall, not planning on pulling that off here today. The other thing that we have here, AK IWM. Definitely underperforming, and the IWM breaking below the 7. This is a concern for the markets. Small cap underperformance would be a concern. Small caps breaking down a little bit here today is definitely a worry for the market of saying, you know what, the aggression really isn't there. That combined with gold pushing higher is something, and bonds really kind of at support is something that that the market it needs to kind of come to terms, come to grips with here. Uh, let's take a look here. One of the things, if we kind of bring up, look at the volumes, okay, even on the stock futures, significantly higher than what they've been over the last little while. Okay, significantly higher. I look at this first hour as in this way. I look at this first hour in a very similar way to the Monday after quadruple witching options expiration, where there's going to be some pretty aggressive movements one way or the other. Are all of them significant? No, but they definitely are worth. Definitely have to understand where your stock is, where your risk is, based on what the market is doing. For the bulls, the potential catalyst to the upside here is the ISM data set to be released here in about 15 minutes. Okay, for the bulls, those looking to be buyers here, you kind of want to be buying things that are in bullish trends that are near the lower Bollinger Bands. Okay, overall, those looking to be sellers. Okay, looking to get short. Please be careful. Please be careful. This is a sell-off that's 10, 12, 13 minutes. We kind of saw this much of 013 where we saw the morning sell-off with no follow-through. If you look at what futures are doing here, okay, they've put in a reaction low. Okay, if you're looking to get short, let this bounce happen, let the ISM data happen, and then if this reaction low gets taken out, this 1830 level on the S&P futures, there's your opportunity to go out and get aggressive or potentially aggressive on the short side. Okay. All right. Give me 1 second here. Okay. I'm going to kind of take my eye off of what's happening in the market. I just want to kind of go over a couple things that were emailed to me over the new year that I promised I'd take a look at. Triple D, the 3D printing. For me, it's been very difficult to find an entry point into this sector. The option prices are quite high. Could it go to 100? Yes. Could it go to 120? Absolutely. The momentum is strong enough to continue and to do that. Could you play it here with a 90 stop? Sure. A 90 stop, though, might be a little bit too tight. For me, Triple D, if you're going to play it, it's one of those where you take gains, okay? You put them on Triple D, and you close your eyes and come back to it a little bit later. It's not necessarily a very good technical type of a trade, but it's something that you're playing some of that fundamental momentum overall there. Okay? The other one I was asked about, Walmart. Okay. Walmart here, nice little bounce, into the end of the year up here to 79. For me, Walmart's in this position where Bollinger Bands are contracting. Okay, what does that say? It says, well, I want to buy any or I want to sell a rally or buy a dip. Okay, and right now, Walmart just kind of in between the upper and the lower Bollinger Bands. It to me, it's headed more for consolidation ahead of its earnings. Okay, and think about it. I mean, we have a lot of earnings set to come on board here. Let me show you Street Insider and the earnings calendar here. But here at streetinsider.com, you come up here to EPS Insider and down to earnings calendar. Okay, and here it'll start showing you. Let me go to January 2014. Start to be able to see when the bulk of the earnings start to come in. We will have a few today, Apollo, Monsanto next week, but then the third week here in January is where we start really getting the banks, the Bank of America's, the Citigroups, the Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan's, Capital One's. We get a little railroad, a little healthcare, and then this fourth week in January will be kind of the fourth and fifth week in January will be the aggressive, the times where a lot of earnings are going to be coming out. Okay, so there will be a lot of earnings. We will start to see analysts chiming in about earnings. It will be very interesting to see if the overall guidance from analysts is to upgrade the earnings or to downgrade the earnings. And so far, analysts have been rather quiet. Some of that because of the end of the year, some of that because of the market rally. But so far, they've been pretty darn quiet. Monsanto's had a little bit of buzz where analysts have been upgrading it ahead of its earnings. But in general, it's been pretty quiet. I do expect that to kind of pick up here over the next week. Yeah, no cricket. There's several in that 3D space that are quite interesting. Yeah, you're right. No options here with ONVO, but heck, the stock price is about the same price as an in the money option on Triple D, right? SSYS is another one in that space that has continued here nicely. All right. So here I'm gonna hop off video and kind of I'll be on chat here as we kind of get the ISM data coming. But Boeing really just kind of dancing around the 136 level, very insignificant action. Tesoro, wow. Take a look here, Tesoro. Welcome to the refiners. Let me pull up the 1 minute here. That's Tesoro's 1 minute here. Okay, that's Tesoro's 1 minute. Okay, right here. Okay, right here. WNR, very similar action. Valero, very, very similar action. Okay, so very bullish action in the last 5 minutes to kind of break some of the bearish action, 15 minutes ago. Boeing, no real significance here. The other things that I had mentioned, the Verizon here. Okay, like I had mentioned, 48.92 breaks 48.92. I'll be out of Verizon. Okay, till then I'll give it its chance. Schlumberger here broke down below 89. Has snapped back here nicely in the last few minutes here. Still holding on to the 7, still in this consolidation area. And then Qualcomm. Qualcomm's been the weaker one. This one has had a little bit of a catalyst here. Thanks, Darren. Yeah, some put buying here on Qualcomm. Let's go pull that up here. Let's go pull that up. Let's see where we got it on the weeklies. Well, yeah, let me go take a look. Today's option stats. Yeah, we got some puts traded at the ask price here. Not a huge amount relative to much of the open interest overall here for Qualcomm. So nothing that I think is overly significant. Can it be? Sure, but at this point, no. Yeah, the reversal in something like FedEx. Yeah, I had you worried there with the gap down. Look, in these stocks, in fact, let me pull this up here. These stocks, I'm just coming up here to Market Watch, and let's see here. Do they change it? I'm going to click on Watch, and I'm just going to go. Let's pull up a watch list here. Let's go with the S&P 500. Okay. And on a day where the market's going to gap down like this, very interesting to see those stocks that were weak and start to reverse higher. That tells you where the buyers are really interested. Okay, where they're really interested. I mean, they're interested in the FedExes and different things like that. Some of the other stuff really is kind of a product of an upgrade or something like that. I don't think anything can be really concrete or said, hey, this is really bullish or bearish until after the ISM data here. Okay. Sounds good, Darren. Bought some J.P. Morgan. Good deal. Good deal. Yeah, Bank of America is having a great day so far. That upgrade really helps it. Bank of America. I don't think there's any reason to pull anything off of Bank of America here overall. Okay. All right. So for here with the ISM coming out, just kind of holding on here. Qualcomm. If we see that thing kind of close below the 7 here today. We'll definitely have to look at pulling that off, but not going to do anything with that right here, as it still has the vibe, the trend rider principles, but we get the close below the 7. We'll look to pull that off. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for hopping on. I'll be on chat. Any questions? Let me know, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.